Hi everyone and welcome back. Today's video is going to be about Jeff Nippard's back exercises tier list. My back is the strongest point in my physique and by far my favorite muscles to train, so I'm very opinionated when it comes to back exercises selection. In my opinion, the rankings that Jeff gave most of the exercises in his video are reasonable. I would rank them slightly different and I plan to make my own tier list video sometime in the near future. In this video, I want to focus on a couple of exercises that Jeff got completely wrong and ranked very low. And his explanation for the low ranking contradicts his own words. So without further ado, let's get to it and see what Jeff had to say about deadlifts and rack pulls in his video.
Okay, what about the deadlift? Well, I am a big fan of the deadlift. I think it's one of the best exercises for building total body strength. However, when we look at the criteria for a S-tier back builder, it doesn't score too well. It doesn't stretch your lats or mid-back much at all. It also doesn't take your lats or traps through an active range of motion. So any tension they do receive is isometric. I don't know about you, but deadlifts don't give me a great back pump. And while they are easy to overload, you can always add some weight or some reps, that's usually because your hamstrings and glutes are getting stronger, not necessarily your back. As a back builder, the deadlift is going in C tier. Since the above the knee rack pull is basically just a deadlift with less range of motion, it's going in D tier. Except, since it often damages gym equipment, hogs plates, and unless your name is Bro Jeff, feels pretty terrible, I'm gonna go ahead and move it to F tier.
So Jeff ranked the deadlift as C and the rack pulls as F, and his reasons were that there is no stretch to the lats, there is no active range of motion, only isometric tension, and no back pump. Now this is where I have an issue with both his rankings and his reasonings. Though it's true that the deadlifts and the rack pulls aren't optimal for lat growth, but what about other back muscles? What about overall back growth? The back muscles respond really well to isometric tension, especially those muscles in the upper back and those that are responsible to keep you upright, like the spinal erectors and the traps. The deadlift is one of the best exercises that put the most amount of muscle mass on your back. The only reason that I would rank the deadlift as an A is the issue of fatigue to stimulus ratio once you get very strong. Now about rack pulls above the knees. Holding heavy weights isometrically is probably the best way to blow up your traps in size. Back in the days when Alex Leonidas and Eric Bugenhagen popularized the rack pulls, I was doing them as well with stupid heavy weights, and my traps blew up from that. Looking back, reducing some of the weight in favor of holding it slightly longer would have been smarter and just as effective, but nevertheless, rack pulls will blow up your traps and upper back. While it's true that the traps aren't working through an active range of motion when holding the weights isometrically, they are in a stretched, lengthened position, which recent studies also showed that it is probably more effective for hypertrophy anyways. Jeff even mentions this concept in the context of pullovers, but the same logic applies to the rack pulls as well.
Because the stretch is most likely the most anabolic part of the range of motion anyway.
Now, about his reasoning of no back pump. Since when getting a pump is a prerequisite to muscle growth? Sure, getting a pump feels great and all, but there is no correlation between getting a pump and a sufficient stimulus for muscle growth. To prove my point, you can take a band, hang it, and do 100 reps of lat pull downs. You'll get a crazy pump. Will that translate to a crazy muscle growth? Not at all. In conclusion, for the reasons that I mentioned, make sure that you include at least one deadlift variation in your program if you don't want to remain a skinny stick. Saying all that, I want to be clear here. Jeff seems like a great guy. I don't know him personally, but he is a precious gem in the Natty YouTube community. His content is of the highest level, definitely S tier, so make sure that you go and watch his videos. That would be all for this video, and I'll see you guys next time.